I'm Liz Finlay, and welcome to this podcast series on inspiring spiritual entrepreneurs. We'll be chatting with some of the wonderful business owners who come to Starseed Business Networking. This is a free monthly meeting I co-host on Zoom with Steve Nobel, and you can find details of the next meeting on the events page of my website, lizfinlay.com. Today, we have the pleasure of chatting with Katie Holland from Awakened Belly Dance. Katie uses movement as an integrative tool for self-empowerment, propelling you forward on your visionary soul path. She focuses on Divine Feminine Alchemy, both online and in person with workshops and retreats. So Katie, welcome.
Hi, Liz. Thank you.
So share with us your story of when you were a child that propelled you on this journey.
Okay, this is the first time I've probably spoken about it in this way in a podcast or anything. When I was 7, many people know that I had a spiritual awakening at this time. But one of the main things of that is because I was so blown wide open. So I was aware of, you could say, light and shadow. And within that shadow, I had many experiences where it felt that I was being taken out of my body, or where I was paralyzed, or I was on spaceships, and the classic ET abduction type stories. And this was almost every night, as well as dreams that you could say were either epigenetic memories or what we might think of as past life memories. And so it was a bit like living in a horror film every time I went to bed. And this was from when I was 7 to around 19. And that was the first time that I received Reiki. And this really helped me to kind of find my boundaries, I guess. And but within all of that, and because I didn't understand what was happening, I didn't tell anybody. I didn't realize that it wasn't a normal thing to be happening for everybody. So I kept it to myself. But within it, I had this awakening where, I guess a bit like Neo in the Matrix, seeing the reality of this reality. And so from when I was 7, I began to question everything, anything and everything, which also got me into a lot of trouble, as you can imagine. And this kind of came to a crescendo when I was around 12, and I made these decisions that I'm going to be self-employed, I want to be a dancer, I'm going to be vegetarian, which then became vegan, I'm going to live by the beach, I'm going to travel and do what I want to do and travel with it. And so I didn't know exactly how it was going to happen, but from 12 I had this very set, you could say, heart's desire, which I then created.
You've definitely manifested that. And so did you start training in dance at that young age then?
From when I was 3, I was training in ballet and tap and jazz dance, and also gymnastics, and I was doing competitive swimming as well. And then I stopped all of those when I was about 12 or 13. I suddenly had that's it, I'm done with all of it. And but I knew that I still really wanted to dance, it wasn't the question of can I be a dancer, it was more what dance can I do to be a dancer. And so then when I was 14, I saw a performance of belly dance, and when I was 15 I started classes. And that's quite a long time ago now, nearly 30 years now. It's 28 years this year, so it's been there for my whole life.
And you never actually worked in corporate. So when did you start your first business that your 12-year-old self declared would happen?
Yeah, I feel I've been very lucky. I've worked in corporate in the way of going in and offering services, so things like meditation and massage and Reiki and that kind of thing. But I've gone in done my job and then escaped again. And so I've kind of dipped my toe in that way, but I've never had a salaried job, you could say, since I worked in a whole food shop when I was 18 to 19, and in bars when I was 18, but that was it. I haven't officially worked for somebody. So it's been something I couldn't really tell you in a linear way how I did it or how it's happened. I just followed my heart, and I followed what felt light to me, and I just gradually got more experience and took up many risks as well. And part of that, as like people always ask me, how did I do this with children? And my children now, they're 19 and 22. So they were really small when we moved to India in 2006. And I think a big part of it was because of them. It was like I had to, I suppose, in that survival way, I had to provide not only for me but also for them. And having them, I think it gave me confidence somehow that I wouldn't have had otherwise, maybe, or not in the same way. It just gave me this impetus that there's these small people and I have to make it work no matter what. So yeah, so I feel like I'm gonna cry.
Because you've moved around quite a lot, because I think you're now in Egypt.
Yeah, I lived in India for 9 years, and then Bali for 2 years, Bulgaria for 3 years, and then I've been in Egypt for almost 2 years now. Yeah.
And such fabulous places to be offering and doing this kind of spiritual work.
Yeah, it's really been a huge learning for me, because it also gave me the opportunity to study with teachers or gurus from those countries. So I've been able to learn directly from source, which is something, if I'd have stayed in England, it would never have happened in that way. And so, you know, from whirling in a cave with a sheikh to being in the jungle in India, learning classical Indian dance, and in the jungle in Bali, learning classical Balinese dance. There's, so many things and really amazing things that have happened, or on a mountain. They've all been on mountains a lot of the time. In Kathmandu, learning Nepalese dance. So it's something that has been really learned from the heart of where these dances have come from, and from the cultures as well.
I remember on one of Steve Nobel's Glastonbury retreats, you did a segment with your movement with us, and it was so amazing. And it wasn't like we needed any kind of belly dance experience, and it wasn't even what I consider belly dance. It was using those fundamentals to guide us through movement that was very beautiful.
Oh, thank you. And I really loved it as well, sharing it with the group. I think there's a perception of belly dance, which I can see the way that has come about through the history with the connotations that people have with belly dance. And I also still perform, and I teach belly dance from the technique and the choreography perspective, and I really love that as well. But I always felt like there was something more, something deeper. And again, when I was 7, I went to a museum in Leicester where I grew up, and there was an ancient Egyptian section, and I saw the hieroglyphs, and they had mummies and these positions like this and this and this. And I knew immediately there's something more to it, and I didn't know what or how I was going to find that. And again, this was like a driving force behind me as I was studying. And then it evolved through, as you know, I've had various Kundalini experiences as well, and this brought more information or more remembering through my body. and then I was able to take the belly dance movements and create sacred geometry in the body, and alchemical activations and integrations, and take things to a completely different level.
And in such a unique way.
Thank you.
So, Katie, would you like to share with us one thing that has really helped your business to help inspire the listeners?
Oh, I've been thinking about this because there's so many different things, and I think from what we've spoken about today, what's coming to me the strongest is that when you feel like everything's against you, and there's just, you don't know how you're going to do this thing, or you don't even know what this thing might be, there's always there's a spark somewhere, there's a crack of light that you can follow it, even if you don't know where that's taking you to, and then the trust comes into it, and dealing with the fears. But if you can keep following that little spark, it will take you to where you need to be.
Oh, well, thank you so much for sharing that with us. And if you'd like to connect with Katie, do visit her website, awakenedbellydance.com. So, Katie, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. It's really beautiful to speak to you.
Yes, such a great chat and a very interesting journey.
Thank you.
Right. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.